Hello friends, today we are going to make a video on the last speech given by Ambedkar just a day before the constitution was finally adopted by the assembly. This is also famously termed the grammar of anarchy speech that refers to three warnings given by Ambedkar about the future constitutional progress in India and the threats to the democratic order established by the constitution. But in this grammar of anarchy speech, so-called, there is more than warnings given by Ambedkar. First of all, Ambedkar paid rich tributes to the other great personalities who involved in the process of making the Indian constitution, like Alladi Krishnaswamy Iyer, T.T. Krishnamachari, and B.N. Rao, who worked as the constitutional advisor and who also prepared the draft constitution for the drafting committee to consider. After paying rich tributes to their work that they have done for the constitution, Ambedkar later defended the constitution that was going to be adopted by the assembly from various criticisms. In these various criticisms, Ambedkar addressed various key concerns. First of all, Ambedkar defended Indian constitution from communists and socialists. Communists wanted to establish proletarian dictatorship. Second one, he addressed the concerns of the socialists. They wanted two things. Socialists wanted complete freedom for the government, complete authority of the government when they came to power in future to nationalize any property, to bring any industry under national control, and to implement land reforms without paying any compensation to the landowners. When they were out of power, they wanted absolute fundamental rights, which also Ambedkar opposed, because these are two paradoxical elements. Next concern of Ambedkar when he defended the constitution that was going to be adopted was the criticism that constitution was over-centralized. For this, Ambedkar's answer was, constitution itself provided for a federal system. Federal system does not mean equal distribution of powers according to Ambedkar between the center and the state, but the existence of autonomous state units, which were not mere appendages, which were not municipalities. The states under the Indian constitution have separate legislatures, executives, and their powers were granted not by the central government, but by the constitution itself. But Ambedkar says only during the time of national emergencies could the state's powers be taken directly under the control of the union legislature. That too only during the times of emergencies. And another criticism on the draft constitution was that the making of the Indian constitution had taken much longer time than it was anticipated before. For this, Ambedkar's answer was that the constitution of India had no clear precedents before. And the constitution of India, as it was drafted by the drafting committee, had to take much difficult task, because in India there was no concept of constitutional morality, where constitutional morality, that means healthy respect towards the values, institutions, and norms established by the constitution is called constitutional morality, where people put the interest of the nation above the interest of their community or their own self. Ambedkar believed it was lacking in Indian society rightfully. So where constitutional morality was lacking, Ambedkar explained, then the constitution itself should provide various mechanisms, various minute details, so that there would be no future conflicts between institutions in future. So that's Ambedkar's answer to the criticism raised. After defending the draft constitution from various persons that Ambedkar also was thankful for their criticism. Now, in the third part of his speech, this is the important one. Ambedkar reflected upon the past of India. In our past, we lacked unity, and because of disunity, we lost our independence to foreign invaders. Was it going to be repeated again? That's what troubled Ambedkar when he was drafting the Indian Constitution, that he explained. Because after the Constitution would be started to be implemented, there would be a new dividing line, that of political parties. Already Indians were divided along various identity barriers, but would there be another barrier added to all these dividing lines? That was the concern of Ambedkar. Ambedkar wanted the people of India to believe, to develop a thought that they were Indians first and Indians last. And they had to always put the interest of the country above and beyond the interest of their own communities. Then Ambedkar gave 3 warnings to the future generations of Indians, us. The first warning that Ambedkar gave: we must always hold fast to the constitutional methods. When British ruled India, there was legitimacy for Indians to follow either revolutionary methods of violence or Gandhian methods of satyagraha. But when Constitution was in force, when Constitution itself provided various opportunities for Indians to democratically express their opinions, to fight for their demands, or to work for fulfilling their aspirations, there was no legitimacy on the part of Indians in future to follow these unconstitutional methods. Second warning given by Ambedkar was that bhakti in religion was okay. It could lead to salvation of the individual soul. But bhakti in politics would be a sure road to dictatorship. Because in a democratic system, people are the masters and rulers are the servants. So it is a responsibility of the individual citizens like us to keep our rulers accountable, responsible for their actions. Third warning given by Ambedkar was that mere political democracy in India would no longer survive. Political democracy, in his words, was only government of the people and government by the people. But we need more than political democracy. We need social democracy. Ambedkar explained social democracy not only as a government of the people and by the people, but government for the people. Social democracy, according to Ambedkar, means not only one person, one vote, and one vote, one value. In addition to that, there should also be one person, one value in Indian society. Ambedkar also believed that he, in this manner, was against the conception of India by the other great national leaders. They believed that India was already a nation in its cultural aspects or political aspects or others. But Ambedkar believed that India was only a nation in the making. So if we have to build a new nation, a united nation, a strong nation, then we have to transform political democracy into a social democracy. Because otherwise, the people who suffered for thousands of years under the burden of the monopoly of power by a few sections of society would no longer be willing to tolerate just one person and one vote principle. They would replace a government of the people and by the people for a government for the people. That means any future authoritarian leader or a dictator could promise to the people that his government would work for the interest of the people without making them a part of the governance, would be accepted by the people. That was the danger we should be worried about. Lastly, Ambedkar also explained that just a constitution is not enough, because there are good constitutions, when implemented by bad people, could lead to disastrous results. But there can be bad constitution in the hands of good people could achieve good results. So it is not only about the constitution for fulfilling the future aspirations of the Indian people, but the future rulers should be very concerned. They should be responsible to transform India from a political democracy to a social democracy. This is one of the greatest speeches ever given by an Indian in our history. Thank you very much.